Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0 fans. I'm your host, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to bring you another episode of After the Pull. That's right, guys. This is where I take 5 of my most highly anticipated comics and see if they live up to the hype. But before we get started, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, CardMafia.com. Poker night will never be the same again. Check out cardmafia.com for some of the most exquisite playing cards ever imaginable. The casing actually has a special feature, and inside are the playing cards. The design that it takes to make these cards are absolutely exquisite. These cards are much more durable. They don't stain, they don't tear as easily. And of course, when you flip this upside down, you get to see Spider-Man is on this card. So whether you're a Spider-Man fan, you're an Iron Man fan, you're a Thor fan, Avengers fan, or other themed decks, you can go on to cardmafia.com. You can order your deck today and you can be the boss of game night. You can use my link in the description box below and you can help support the channel. All right, webheads, welcome back. So let's get started with this week's episode of After the Pull. Coming in at number 5, we have X-Men issue 14, a Judgment Day tie-in. Let me tell you, this tie-in was very loose. And before I do get into it, I just want to say I'm all about representation when it comes to our characters being gay or bi or trans in our comic books. I don't have an issue with it. What I do have an issue with is when it's kind of shoved in your face and you're taking it as you're a small-minded person if you don't include these people in your comic books and you're forgetting about that part of them. And that's what Marvel did when it came to this comic book. They're basically saying that Iceman is gay, and if you have a problem with it and you want us to cover it up and not showcase that, then you're small-minded. It literally says that in this comic book, kind of slapping readers in the face. And I don't appreciate that. I was taken back. At least when I read it, that's the way I looked at it. If you have not read X-Men issue 14, I suggest that you read this book. And even though it's a newspaper article that was represented in this book, it's basically yelling it out to its readers. If you don't like that Iceman is gay, too bad. He's going to be gay, and we're going to showcase that all over this comic book. It's not needed. It's a forced agenda, and I don't like that. It's okay if the character is gay. Write a story with him, right? And it's okay if he's gay. Just write good stories. It's kind of like with the Iron Cat story. It's like she is a gay character. She's bi, and there's a great story that goes involved. If you did not put this particular story in here with this lady writing this article saying that I'm publishing this article because Iceman is gay, I'm not taking the gay out of it, this actually would have been a pretty solid issue with the Iceman character involved. And this was very frustrating. Right here in the very beginning, we get to see her editor saying, take the gay out of Iceman. He saved the world. That's what doesn't matter here. Him being gay doesn't matter. And she's like, I'm not going to publish the article unless I showcase that he's gay. Iceman has been gay forever. We've all known this by now. It was how he was presented as gay that people were upset with. But I think we've all accepted the fact now that he is a gay character. And in the last issue, he literally kicked some serious ass. And in fact, in this issue, when they were trying to save the sun from blowing up and destroying the earth, he was a badass character. everything about the issue was really good except the beginning and the very end. I love seeing the team dynamic between all of these characters. When you have a good story like this, it's pretty fun. But then when you put in that forced agenda stuff, that is what's very frustrating to me, right? I don't care if he produces rainbows with Firestorm and stuff like that. That's fine. I don't care. It's just the end that really frustrated about this, telling the readers that if you don't accept Iceman in your comic books, you're small-minded. That is insulting to me, and I just can't accept that. That is just very much wrong. And when it came to the Judgment Day stuff here, it was so loosely tied into Judgment Day, it was ridiculous. All you do is you get the Celestial that judges Cyclops, and he's either giving him the thumbs up or thumbs down, and surprise, he gets the thumbs up so he gets to live. And that's the issue. You know what? I was very pissed off when I read this comic. I don't get mad at comics very often. I know that people have agendas and things like that. Whatever. You're the writer. You want to do that. But this felt like a slap in the face to me. Before we move on to number 4, hopefully I didn't offend anybody. I was just giving you my feelings towards the comic book and how they delivered that message. I truly did not like that message. And again, hopefully I didn't offend you. I'm all about the representation in comics. It's just the way the message was delivered here. So coming in at number 4, we have Ant-Man issue 2. This is written by Al Ewing. This book is really not that good in my opinion. I liked issue 1 because it had this Silver Age vibe to it, and now we get this other character by the name of Eric O'Grady who's trying to be part of, he's trying to get used to this Ant-Man suit. He's trying to communicate with the ants. He's trying to make the suit get himself bigger and smaller and trying to find out how these Pym particles work. And he comes across the different versions of Ant-Mans. You got a Skrull that's posing as Henry Pym in here that's causing chaos throughout the book as well. And really what I got out of this, I felt like I was reading another Spider-Verse book, right? It's just multiple versions of Ant-Man, but it's just different time periods. That's basically what this book was about. I felt that this book wasn't very exciting. It was very boring. They made the character Eric O'Grady kind of stupid. Like, he didn't know what he was doing, and I just felt like, man, where are we going with all this? And I don't know. I don't think I'll be picking up issue 3. I really liked issue 1, which is kind of disappointing that I did not like this one as much. Very curious to hear what you guys thought of issue 2 and if you will be continuing this book. Coming in at number 3, we have Superman War World Apocalypse. This is the epic conclusion to the War World saga. Now, I never read any of this series. I maybe read an issue and I felt completely lost as it was in the middle of the run. Here I felt, you know what, let me pick this up. Maybe they'll give me a quick catch up on what is happening in the series so I can understand the conclusion, right? And they give you a little bit of that in the very beginning of the book on what is going on. We get to see that here as we get these rebels teaming up with Superman, trying to overthrow Mongol. There's a red sun and they're trying to change it to a white sun so Superman can get his powers back and they can save the day. Even though it gave me an idea of what was going on, I still felt lost. I could not get into the characters at all. I didn't really know who they were. I thought the action was really good. I thought that the artwork was pretty good in this book as well. And I did read the whole thing all the way through, and I liked the conclusion on seeing what happened. And the only thing that I can say is that it's good to have Superman back home at Metropolis again, and he reunites with Lois Lane, and I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, pretty much a big slugfest throughout the entire issue. My only thing with this book is since I didn't read it all the way through, I just couldn't get into the characters. Now, I could tell there was a lot of thought, a lot of time went into this book, and I can appreciate what Philip Kennedy Johnson was doing with this entire run. No wonder this book got so much praise. So if you have been a fan of Action Comics or have been reading this all the way through, I definitely say pick this book up. This is definitely a worthy conclusion to this long story arc. Coming in at number 2, we have Amazing Spider-Man issue 1000 featuring the favorite web slinger himself, Spider-Man. Now, this book is $8, and as expected, this book has a bunch of short stories celebrating your favorite web slinger. Now, the thing that I always hope for when it comes to these stories is that, do you plant seeds in these types of books for future stories of your favorite webhead? And the answer in this particular issue was no. These are definitely all short stories, and there's no seeds being planted. This is just celebrating the character, and I was a little disappointed at that because Dan Slott actually wrote a story in here, and it has no inkling whatsoever of maybe something happening in his adjective-less Spider-Man. I know we're getting that in Edge of Spider-Verse, but maybe I would have loved to seen something different. Now, you're probably asking, well, is this worth my money? There are some stories in here that are actually really good. The best story I thought was a story done by Jonathan Hickman, and it really shows that maybe Jonathan Hickman should write Spider-Man, because the way he wrote the character himself was so hilarious. I really enjoyed it. It's called You Get It, so you should definitely read that story. There's also another story about a big fan of Spider-Man, and he was following him since he was a kid. It's done by Neil Gaiman, and it's called With Great Power. So you should definitely read that story itself. And then there was a good story in here by Dan Slott. It's called Sinister 60, as it has a story that has to do with an old man Spider-Man when he was 60 years old. So that was pretty cool. And then the opening story was actually kind of cool, just about some thug that Spider-Man kept busting over the years, and that one was pretty cool. It's called Just Some Guy. So definitely there are some good stories in this 60th anniversary issue, which was cool. The pages here that I'm showing you is the Dan Slott story, and this page right here, this is the Jonathan Hickman story, which I think you should actually read because the artwork is done by Chiquetto as well. So overall, as a creative team, I would love to see a Jonathan Hickman and a Marco Chiquetto Spider-Man story. This was so much fun, like I said earlier. So yeah, even though it wasn't perfect and it's just your traditional anniversary issue, there was some stories worth reading here. Coming in at number 1, we have Thunderbolts issue 1. Now, I was cautiously optimistic about this book, didn't know what to expect, but man, I thought this book was absolutely awesome. It was written by Zeb Wells. And I got the variant cover here because I was like, well, if it sucks, at least I got a cool variant. This is the trading card variant. And then on the back, it's just like the old school Marvel cards, as it gives you the statistics of the character and where he came from and stuff like that. But overall, this story was not a disappointment whatsoever. The art is bright. It's vibrant. It has everything going for it. It has a lot of action involved in the story as well. There is a lot to offer for this book. In fact, this is probably the best team up book that I have read, and I couldn't tell you how long. This is almost how an Avengers book should be. In fact, this book opens up with Clint Barton as he wants to get the team back together. Now, not the Avengers, but he wants the West Coast Avengers to be back. And he's trying to talk to friends to get them back together. But then he gets a call from Luke Cage. Now, if you read Devil's Reign, you realize that Luke Cage is the new mayor now. He took over after Mayor Kingpin left, right? So now we still have the Thunderbolts division, and instead of it being the West Coast Avengers, we have Luke Cage putting together a good version of the Thunderbolts. Now, the law is still in place, as they can't have unauthorized vigilantes running around New York, so that's why he's putting together this team. And this team is being led by Hawkeye. And we get to see that it's much more than just a team put together, but it's a brand and it has to look right in front of the people of New York, which I thought was hysterical. They got the leader, they have the muscle, they have all the different types of characters in there that makes a solid and balanced team. And I love how they introduced the team, and I loved how in between the introduction of the team you got to see some action scenes of the team members in there. So I thought it was a lot of fun. As the issue continues, you find out though that the team didn't do exactly what they needed to do because of the sketchy leadership of Hawkeye. Buildings were damaged, casualties happened, Luke Cage rips him a new ass, and you find out that the leader of the team wasn't supposed to be Hawkeye at all at first. It was supposed to be Monica Rambeau, and she turned it down. And now after a long talk, she's thinking about being the leader once again, or at least supervising the team, and you're left with a cliffhanger of something happening to all the team members of Thunderbolts. So overall, I thought this book was really well done. It had a nice balance of action, dialogue. You got to learn all the team members without bogging it down. This was a great introduction to this team book, and I want to read the second issue, and I'm very happy that this did not crash and burn, which it could have easily done. So in this very light week of comic books filled with annuals and oversized books and some overpriced books, if there is a one book that you must pick up this week and you're looking for good old school action comic fun, I feel like Thunderbolts issue 1 is it. And before we continue, webheads, I just want to give a quick shout out of my live stream that I do every Tuesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called Comic Book Weekly, where I team up with my good friends Cat Comic Uno and Brant Fowler as we talk about the week's worth of comic news, comic books, and a whole bunch more. So that's Comic Book Weekly every Tuesday night, 10:15 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. So will those books hang around in my top 5? Well, you can find out on Sunday and watch my series called Worst to First, as I have all of the books that I have read and I count them down, again, all the way from worst to first. And I still have Wonder Girl, the 2022 annual. I have Ant issue 5, and I do have some other back issues that I need to catch up and read, and I think I'll throw them in that video this week. So there you guys have it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll leave you more content right here. In fact, this is my entire comic book haul that I picked up on New Comic Book Day. And guys, as always, keep buying, keep collecting, but most importantly, always read your comics. Guys, thank you so much. I will see you real soon.